Welcome to this episode of what every non-Christian should know about, and today is about Matthew 14 and 15. And I trust that if you have come to my channel, you are a believer or a pre-believer seeking God. And so I just want to pick up three things from these two chapters that I think are most important for you. It starts with the story of the beheading of John the Baptist. And why is John the Baptist beheaded? Or why is he in prison? Is because he spoke out against Herod, because Herod had married the wife of his brother. And so the wife of his brother entered a second marriage. Now maybe in our day and age that is considered quite normal, but John the Baptist firmly spoke out against it, and so does the church. Christians have always stood up for the sacredness of marriage. And the interesting thing of Herod is that though Herod imprisoned John the Baptist for speaking out against his illicit marriage, he also kind of liked to listen to him. He still found him appealing. His words, and in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6 speaks of that, how he loved to listen to John as well. And so he had this love-hate relationship with John the Baptist because he spoke out against him, but somehow his words were still appealing, and that is because truth sets us free, because truth is beauty. And I think that in this day and age, we should speak out for truth. The truth also of marriage, that marriage is instituted by God, in which a man and a woman come together for life and commit to each other, and God then gives them offspring to form a family. And John the Baptist was really one that spoke up for the sacredness of marriage between one man and one woman, and how divorce is not the right way and remarrying goes against God. You see, as Christians, we believe marriage to be a sacrament. That means marriage is also a billboard. And what is the billboard saying to the world? It speaks of the faithfulness of God. Married people witness to the world that just as in marriage we are faithful to each other and we give our lives to each other, so God even more is always faithful to you, and He gives Himself for you. But if we allow divorce and if we allow remarriage, then the signboard of marriages would say, well, God may like you, but then He may also at some point give up on you. And that's not the billboard that we want. Through the sacrament of marriage, we want a witness of the faithfulness of Christ, that Christ is faithful to you and He desires to marry you, to be in this spousal union with you, the church, because heaven is going to be the wedding feast of the Lamb in which Christ, the bridegroom, is going to marry the church, all of us who believe in Him. And then in chapter 14 and 15 we find two times a story of the multiplication of the loaves. Christ performs this miracle of providing for the needs of the people. The disciples kind of want to send them away because they don't have enough to provide, but Christ provides abundantly. And of course, this also refers to Himself, that He is the bread of life. He is our abundance. So come to Him if you are hungry, and He will feed you abundantly. He will give you His flesh to eat in the Eucharist, and He feeds our every need. And the beauty of these two stories is that the second story is in the Gentile region, and He feeds 4,000, the 4 being a symbol of the 4 ends of the earth, and the 7 loaves of the 7 Canaanite regions. And so all the Gentiles, all of us who do not belong to the people of Israel, we are going to be included. Christ comes to us to give us the gift of Himself. So let us come to Him. The disciples, they went ahead of Jesus in the boat and they were caught in a storm. All of us during this COVID-19 pandemic are also caught in a storm one way or another, because we are stuck at home, or maybe we are afraid of losing our job, or we find ourselves in other kind of crisis or sickness or fear. And in this storm, Christ is coming to us. He was praying on the mountain, but being connected with His Father, He knew the disciples were in trouble and He came towards them. In the same way, Christ, who now sits at the right hand of the Father, He comes to us every time that we are in need. He comes to you in your storm, and maybe you see Him walking towards you. Do not be afraid. But listen to what he says. Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid. In the moment that Peter recognizes him, he says, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And he said, come. Peter walked on water. He came towards him. Let us also step out of the boat. Let us come towards him. Christ makes the impossible possible as long as we fix our gaze on him. But the moment that Peter did not fix his gaze on Jesus, but he focused again on the storm, he began to sink. And he cried out, Lord, save me. If you come to that moment in your life where you know that you are sinking, that you have reached rock bottom, this is the most beautiful prayer that you can pray. Lord, save me. Because each and every time that we pray this prayer, Christ will be there to stretch out his hand to us and to pull us back into the boat, into his church, to bring us to safety. So let's cry out to God, because he is our Savior. He loves you, he cares for you, and he is right there with you in the storm to bring you healing, to free you, to provide for you, to care for you, to save you. So let's put our trust in him.